So good evening, everyone. Today on the 18th of September, everybody has taken out time out of after, I believe, a hectic schedule. That's what I feel, that though we have all our uh, sessions on Saturdays and Sundays, it's remarkable that despite a hectic week, we all take out time to learn and evolve as an educator. And hats off to this platform, AIEF platform, which has given us all an opportunity to explore ourselves. No matter how many years we've been teaching, this is a totally different domain. And thanks to Matthew sir, who's the founder of AIEF, I believe many of us have really been able to explore ourselves and evolve as an educator. So, sir, would you like to say anything, or should I begin?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So, project-based learning, and just a second, I'll minimize. We have 79 participants, and as others were joining in, I just checked out that there were teachers and educators from different subjects. As we had already mentioned, that project-based learning would be catering to different subjects, and we have tried our best to incorporate different plans, keeping in mind the different standards that we are teaching. Basically, it will be senior secondary, 11th and 12th, 9th and 10th as well. So I'm taking you across to what are going to be our talking points. We're going to talk about what do we think about PBL, what it means, what it doesn't mean. There are different perspectives about it that we think about. And then the planning and execution of it, the assessment of rubrics, its relevance in the CBSE curriculum. In the chat, I was getting a number of questions, whether you're going to touch upon the project for term 2, whether it's going to cover AIL for art integrated learning as per the curriculum. To some extent, we are going to touch upon that, but it would be not fair to say it is purely going to cater to AIL or purely going to cater to the project-based term 2 project-based guidelines. Now, how still this session will help you to plan your projects accordingly, because these are going to give you ideas how to make the class interesting. Now, interesting could be showing a video, showing images, taking them to do quizzes, Kahoot. These are things we've been doing online. But we have to keep in mind that there's also there's a very, very soon there's a possibility we'll be coming back to our offline classes. So when we come back to our offline classes, we are going to definitely have to keep the thrill and the energy as enthusiastic as they've been online. Now, what are our preconceived notions about PBL? Before I go ahead, what are the things that come to your mind? If I could just see a few remarks in the chat. What comes to your mind? I'm not taking you to Mentimeter and all, because it's a 1-hour session. So we are not going to go to another platform as per se. We all are now, I think so, we all know how to use a Mentimeter, Kahoot and all. I'm not going to take you to those platforms. So maybe in the chat, if you could help, it would really help. What do you think PBL means? What is the idea that came to your mind when you joined this session? What are the expectations? If you could quickly message it on the chat. If I could see some messages on the chat. A few. A beautiful slide deck. Thank you. But what about what comes to your mind? If the participants could mention what comes to your mind when we talk about PBL, making learning interesting to students, how do you think we can do that? Spark the curiosity, planning, wonderful way of teaching to create and involve students, absolutely. So to involve, to create interest, How do we do that? What do we engage them in a practical way? In a practical way, definitely activity based learning, okay, hands on, that helps a lot. Learning by doing, so we have a faint idea. Now this does help to steer the experiential learning, steer the whole session. So let's see the words which came to your mind. We've just written that in the chat box. Thank you. And let's share what we think when we look at this. A short story on water shortage. Is this a project-based learning? Do we think, are these a project-based learning? If again in the chat, I'll keep the chat open. It's not. If if I give them only a short story to be written, okay. What about this one? A poster on land usage. If I ask them to just make a poster on land usage. So this can be with relation to geography. This can be with relation to maybe no again. And graphical survey of plastic bottle pollution. If we ask them to take a survey, go and ask people, tell us whether how many have been using plastic bottle and how many, which bottles have been contributing to the pollution. So some of you say yes. So is this a project based learning? That one graph and that one survey in itself, is it a project based learning in one go? It could be a part of it. And leaves of grass, those who've been teaching 11th standard English, leaves of grass by Walt Whitman, a book cover. How do you think that would help? A book cover. That all the C's should be involved, absolutely. So these all can be a part of the project-based learning. They need not only, yes, absolutely, problem, ma'am. It is just a part of project-based learning. It cannot be just the project itself. So how should it be integrated? We'll be working upon that in detail. Now let's look at this and understand a few things. Now, when we talk about the project-based learning, can it be given as an individual project? I have the chat open. I'll be going through that side by side. And does it take a lot of time? It depends. No, it can't be given as an individual project. But if it can be given as an individual project, how? Let's keep that in mind. Is it only for high score achievers and those who are fluent in English? Usually, this is usually what is of concern, that ma'am, if we take up high scorers only, they usually participate. In fact, project-based learning facilitates and helps in scaffolding the learning of those who are usually quiet in the class. A differentiation, absolutely, Rehana ma'am. And it takes a lot of time. Yes, it takes a lot of time because you have to plan. It does not mean that in one day or over a weekend, you tell the student to make a project, say a book cover, and that becomes a project-based learning. There's a series of activities that are involved behind that could be a part of it. We know the students best and we decide how to give and to whom. Is it too hard? Is it? Absolutely, it can be taken as a group project to include all the students. Is it too hard to manage, keeping in mind the limited time we have? So in this session, we are going to talk about how to plan it, even on keeping in mind different subjects and the time span that the whole project is going to be. It has to be planned in stages. We are going to talk about those stages, Rehana ma'am. And does it focus only on the 21st century skills? Not only, because it also refers to the reading skills, writing skills, listening skills. Indirectly, our interdisciplinary projects will also help us to cater that. Does it cater to the syllabus alone? Can we go beyond it? Definitely we can go beyond it. It has to be planned, and in different stages we can introduce them to different aspects. Now, if we look at this is something I picked up from the net, obviously it's from, I've given due credit for that. And this is what is the whole purpose of project based learning, keeping in mind NEP 2020, which is now you can say a cliched way of introducing any topic or way or style of teaching. Authenticity, how? So that whatever knowledge the child is gaining in class, he knows how to apply it in the real world. To do that, he should be in the habit of inquiry. He should have a choice, student voice and choice, so that he can voice it out. How can the child voice it out? Because we have to remember, as in case of a PBL, we have to be a guide by their side, by the side of the students. It's not supposed to be a monologue, only the students speaking on one side. There has to be a collaboration. As somebody had said that we can take it, Pramila ma'am said that we can take it as a group project. Absolutely. There are certain sections of the whole project which can be divided, and certain portions can be taken up as a collaboration. Employability skills, community partners. When we talk about community partners, we had talked about, if I take you to the last slide, say a survey. So the child, I would request you to mute yourself, please. Uh, Thank you. So this could be a survey in which the children can be asked to go and visit maybe the old age home, maybe go and visit McDonald's and find out how many plastic cups are thrown every day. Where does that go? So maybe there are community partners there. Employability skills, because in this survey, what are these children going to learn? They're going to learn how to address to people, address to a problem, go and speak, soft skills, how to approach a problem, be respectful, how to initiate a program, create awareness. So all those things are going to be assessed in the whole process. Now it seems as if it's not possible to do that in one project, but that project is not supposed to be covered up only in 2 weeks. In 2 days, it has to be covered up, say maybe in 3 or 4 weeks. Now there are questions that might arise, but that, ma'am, if we take up every chapter in that manner, that way we will always fall short of time. The point is, try to collaborate with your colleagues so that you can create a project which is interdisciplinary. For some, you can do that. For a subject like English, you may not cater to project-based learning for all the subjects. That way, the child would be burdened. So you have to pick and choose which chapter or topic you would like to approach with project-based learning aspect, because we have to cater to CBE, maybe take up flipped classrooms while addressing different topics. So the feedback and the revision, this becomes very important, and the assessment in between, that is equally important, because the whole project is going to take up different activities. So a reflection is to know, how have I done as a student and how have I done as a teacher in transcending that knowledge. So this also has to be taken into mind. So what is project-based learning? We'll understand whole, this is, I'm just going to read it quickly. There's not much of theory that I've taken up, but I'll be giving you practical examples of how to take up a topic and how to divide it according to different activities that can cater to AIL, that can cater to maybe a listening skill topic, because ASL also has to be assessed throughout the year. It's not just a 10-mark questionnaire or a 20-mark questionnaire of listening that has to be given, and that can be the summative. But these small activities which are a part of the project-based learning, they become the part of the formatives of LS, listening and speaking. So the project-based learning, the definition says that it's a teaching method where teachers gain the students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time. They have to investigate, because if you look at this here, inquiry, they'll investigate, they'll come up with some student voice and choice, and they'll respond to complex questions and problems and challenges. That's what we will be giving them. This helps the students build valuable proficiencies such as problem solving, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. As we had talked earlier, that it is not necessarily going to talk about the 21st century skills, and somebody over here also had spoken that all the 4 C's must be addressed. I hope we are good to go till here. Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I hope we're good to go. So what is PBL? Let's quickly do this because the practical approach is going to take much more time. It's a process. It has different stages, right? It is to be assessed at every stage. This is where at times we miss our role as an educator. At times, I'm not saying always. It is conducted in groups. Preferably, it has to be in groups. Only then you will teach them skills like team building, like collaboration, like communication. And it has to be fun and interesting. No longer can you fool the child with just a sermon from the stage. You have to engage them, make it interesting, and it is for all subjects. I deliberately took up the challenge of picking up some subjects. Maybe in this process we learn from each other as well, and it caters to the 21st century skills, teaches how to think. This is very important and the most beautiful portion of PBL, that it teaches the student how to think and not what to think. It seems as if it's a cliche, but again, it means a lot. It's not a standalone project. As we said, it's not only a book cover. It's not only a graph or a survey that has to be represented in a pie chart. It's not only a poster. It does not cater to only languages because they think that there's a lot of speaking and presentation that is involved. But the point is, when they're presenting, they're also studying different subjects. So it is not definitely only a English language or a Hindi language or a language project. It's not an individual project. It's not a day or a weekend project. That's very important. It's not only for high scorers and those fluent in English, and it does not teach what to think. It teaches us how to teach our students how to think. This is of great importance. How and why are the most important questions to be asked while learning? Absolutely, Hema ma'am. That's what we are going to see here, that how we can help these students to think in that direction. So coming to the second portion, because I'm much more interested in the third in this portion, because we're going to take you through different ways of planning throughout the month. The planning and execution. Without planning, we teachers will not do justice to our profession. We all know that. We make lesson plans, we plan the day ahead. In fact, a session on time management even helped us to see how to cater to the different time periods we had on online. It is going to make teaching and learning very interesting, definitely. So being an English literature student and a teacher, I cannot let go of referring to something from literature. And since we are talking about planning and execution, just give me a few minutes and I'll read this out. Something from Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Would you tell me, keep in mind that we're planning, and if we don't plan, where will we end? So what would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? Alice asked the Cheshire cat. That depends a good deal on where you want to get to, said the cat. I don't care where, said Alice. Then it doesn't matter which way you go. You'll end up somewhere. So long as I get somewhere, Alice added as an explanation. Oh, you're sure to do that if you only walk long enough. Otherwise, you'll be stuck where you are. But even if you don't plan where you want to go, you will go somewhere, but that will not be where you would wish to be. So planning becomes very important. And when our children see us planning, they will imbibe those qualities as well. So it's good to know where you're going, definitely. So what are the goals of PBL? The students will learn. Can anybody tell me what will the students learn? You can maybe unmute or maybe type if you're comfortable. What are the students going to learn through this? Because we've already studied about what is PBL and what is it not. There's somebody who has unmuted. Kindly mute yourself in case you're not going to give any suggestion. I think so. You've unmuted yourself by mistake. Yes. So what are these children going to learn? Any how to organize and plan things?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They'll learn to be more expressive.
Yes. Time management, life skills, team spirit. Are they going to do anything related to the subject? The subject will be our core. It's going to be our content. That is the springboard. With the subject, we're going to use it as a springboard so that we can address these different kind of skills that we are talking about. They'll know their destination or their outcome. It seems as if we only as teachers should have goals, but the students also come. Like, for example, you've also come here, dear educators, to learn something. So you have some idea in mind. They learn with experiential learning, and how and why would help the students to learn. The skills, definitely. The meeting will end in 10 minutes. Kindly join immediately after this, and we'll continue to incorporate skills into their work. Which skills? Which skills? The four C's. The four C's, the 21st century skills, as well as the listening speaking skills, all skills, life skills, 21st century skills. To cooperate with classmates, do these address some skills as well? Yes. To budget their time and resources, that's what time management, I believe somebody had spoken at the very beginning, time management. And to budget their time and resources, indirectly, what are we preparing them for? We are preparing them for life. We are preparing them. And to use HOTS as they propose, research, create, and present projects. So the lots and HOTS do get addressed no matter what we teach. So taking forward, yes, through an analytical study and develop rational thinking collaboration, Bhavita ma'am says, yes, and proposed approach. Now, how do I go about the planning? Pick any chapter or topic from your syllabus. We are not going to do breakout rooms at this point of time. I'm assuming that these are the chapters and these are the subjects. Teacher to develop a series of inquiring questions, because if you remember, inquire is very important. Encourage students to research a topic, create a project, and present a project. Now, it doesn't mean it's only one project. There are a series of activities in between. And every subject teacher's approach may vary. There's no hard and fast rule. Remember to assess them at different stages. I'll be giving you a tool that will help you create rubrics very easily. That is usually something we try to usually run away from when it comes to assessments. So SAFER is an acronym we've developed, keeping in mind planning and execution. Now, students, assessments, focus, and resources. So who are the students? We'll be addressing the students. We'll be assessing them at every point. We'll be focusing on one subject maybe, but if it is interdisciplinary, we'll be focusing on different things. And the resources. The resources have to be very, very not expensive. I would not like to say cheap, but less expensive. So how do I successfully implement it? Involve the students from the beginning. Beginning means you are not a sage on the stage. You're going to be their guide by their side. So in that manner, what is going to happen? You are going to help them choose a task. You will plan that, okay, we are going to do a group discussion. Involve them in the choice of choosing the topic for the group discussion. So you are assisting them. Break down the topic into well-defined tasks, plan well, set goals. All this I'm just going to show in separate examples. You have to create a tangible artifact. Now the book cover. the pie chart, the poster, all those are changeable artifacts that come as an outcome, one of a few of the outcomes, and arrive at a conclusion. Document and present it to the public. How do you do that? Suppose it is a paper presentation, which is the culmination of all the activities that have catered to different skills. Then that paper presentation becomes the ending. So students have to be in groups of 4 and 5, online via breakout rooms. And if it is offline, obviously we'll be fortunate enough to engage them right in front of our eyes. Teacher has to be the facilitator, and the assessment rubrics have to be create collectively with the colleagues. That is up to you. You can collaborate with your colleagues. Students to be informed about the criteria beforehand and can be as considered formative internal assessment. Formative is usually the small activities which are going to lead to the major tangible artifact, which will become the summative assessment. So the focus, obviously, it is the school syllabus, but not only the school syllabus, because remember, we are teaching the students how to go beyond the text, go beyond the school syllabus. So they are going to learn not what to think, but how to think. The skills, the critical thinking, collaboration, we've talked about that. The resources should be readily available. This should not be a financial burden on the parents. Now, let's unbox your ideas about PBL. Let's take up the examples. This is usually what we are waiting for. In 11th standard, I'll be taking up Hornbill, the portrait of a lady. In 10th, I've taken up Geography, Chapter 1, Resource and Development. In subject Science, I have taken up an interdisciplinary topic, which will cater to chemistry, bio, and commerce, all three, and environmental on environmental hazard. If you see, these are 4 to 6 weeks. If you remember, they are never supposed to be just a 2-day project. So let us look at what is of prime importance, the process. This is what at times we forget. It's not the end product. It's not just the book cover. Like in art integration, sad to say, some of us, what did we do? We just gave the students a book cover. Okay, make this something related to Sikkim, because Delhi was paired with Sikkim. The book cover or the song to be sung with which had relation to Sikkim, and find out maybe literary figures, etc., etc. That was not supposed to be that's one part of the activity. So I'll be telling you, where does PBL lie? What relevance does it lie in AIL as well? Just a reference to it. So let us take, I hope the screen is visible. I'll just minimize my, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So if you, now I'm minimizing the chat box. Kindly let me know if there's anything in the chat box, and you can unmute yourself. Now, when we look at this, I've taken a portrait of a lady. We have to always keep in mind that the project is not a single activity. It is a set of small activities which we are strewn together across a period, catering to attain different skills. Now here, keeping in mind September, suppose. Now I know September is over, but this was just a hypothetical month I had taken up. So the initial project discussion, what do you think? So I have given this chapter, I've chosen this chapter for PBL. I'll approach this chapter with PBL. I have given it 1 month. So around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Does it mean they're going to make only a poster? Does it make they're only going to do group discussion? No. There are a set of series of small events. So the initial project, when we do, how do we do that? We need to understand what is the project idea, what is the time frame proposed, is it manageable? This all is being discussed with different teachers if you feel like. Otherwise, teachers can divide that, okay, for this chapter, I'm going to do it. For the next chapter, the other one can do it, which can be taken up after a period of 4 months or 3 months. So you need not do all chapters in this manner. And Maybe, is there anything that any other subject that can be integrated into your project? What are the technical tools if you wish to use them? What are the planning stages in relation to it? This all is supposed to be taken care of. Just a second, I have to hide the floating controls. Then only I'll be able to access my link. Okay, so I'm taking you back to the calendar. Over here, so we talked about this initial project discussion. This discussion is going to plan this out. You can plan it with the help of the colleagues, your colleagues, or you can also keep in mind, maybe you divide chapters amongst colleagues. Now, at this stage, we are not going to include students because we are not a sage on the stage where a guide by their side. We will chalk out that these are the activities to be done, but how are these activities to be done, which is a topic which is to be picked up, that is where you can involve the students. So chalk out the plan to the class. Tell them what is the plan we're going to do in 4 to 6 weeks. Week 1, as I had shown you earlier, week 1 is listening. It's going to cater to listening. So they're going to listen to a video. Suppose I take this, I can click on this, I can take you back to the video. Suppose a video. They look at it. I'm not going to play this at the moment. So whatever it is. Yes. Am I audible? I will wait for a few minutes for everybody to join in. I have disabled the meeting room, but still I can see it's taking a bit time. 57 have joined in. Great. I hope so. It's making some sense. You've understood what I'm trying to say.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I am going a bit fast, keeping in mind there's a lot to share yet, and I want to give as much information I can. So we'll wait for another 1 minute and I'll begin. Hide the video panel. Okay. Okay. Is the screen visible? It's loading. Just a minute. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So we were talking about, if I go back to this, oops. Yeah, here we are. So when we were talking about Portrait of a Lady, can you see I've delegated listening, reading, writing, and speaking to different weeks. And midst this, they're also going to cater to different, the 21st century skills. Now, how are the students also going to participate in planning? That has also been taken care of. How is the feedback going to be taken? We are going to talk about all that. So we were talking about chalking the plan, going to the video, and the teacher will frame some questions around it. Ask them randomly as you roam around in the class, or you ask them in the class in the breakout rooms, or even this can be done without the breakout rooms. Keep on assessing them. Now, what happens is that when we are assessing them, there's a possibility with relation to this video only. Some of them may participate, some may not participate. But remember, PBL is, these activities are formative activities. It does not mean that a child would be assessed for listening only on this one activity throughout the months. No, throughout the year, he'll be assessed through different listening activities despite the fact that this one activity may, say 15 children might be able to answer, because I framed 15. The other way around can be you play it and you give a Google form, because it's listening. So create a Google form, send it across, tell them to fill it within 5 or 10 minutes of the session. So in that way, you will find that everybody has participated. So this becomes a small activity, formative activity for a few of those who for which we are assessing listening. Then for reading, suppose I give them this passage. I've not taken up, I can't show the whole passage here, but a reading task. I give them a passage with relation to grandparents, because the chapter is about portrait of a lady. So what do? I ask them, read this, read it, and then there can be comprehension questions that can be based on it. There can be something with relation to portrait of a lady, some link you can find out, and that can be assessed over here. In the third, writing a diary entry, interview you took of your grandparents, or make a blog. So it can be, or a vlog. Even a vlog is something that these children really aspire to participate in. So vlogs or blogs. And then we go to speaking. Present your finding via a vlog, because a blog actually would involve only writing. A vlog would involve speaking. So a few of your students maybe pick up this, a few of them pick up this, a few of them decide to take up PPT, some of them take up speech. So over here you're giving power to children to choose. So the moment you give them power, okay children, you can either do this or that, and instead of telling them no, everybody has to write a diary entry, you will find the outcome and the purpose solved, that you'll find more participation. So what have we catered to? We've catered to listening, reading and speaking, and the 21st century skills, because when they are making a blog, you can make it a group activity. The PPT can be a group activity through Google Slides. A speech can be an individual activity, but at the same time, if it is going to be, suppose it can be a speech or an interaction, change it, make it a dialogue. Let it be a dialogue between two people. Let them perform a small skit. So it will require a lot of coordination. So the 21st century skills will also be catered to. I hope this portion is fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So we were talking about chalk out the plan to the class. We talked about this. Now, how do I, the group formation in the third. So first and second, I tell them that this is what we're going to do. In the first, my discussion is with my colleagues. In the second, my discussion is with the plan, with the students. And give them time to think about it. It's not that you will waste these 2 periods. Think about it, and then in the third, you create the group. Create the groups through the breakout rooms. Allow those groups to remain the groups for all whatever group activities come up in the whole week, and then you can read the chapter. Now, there was a very valid question that came up in some other session, that, ma'am, what about the chapter itself? Now, the chapter, you have all this time to do the chapter. Obviously, you will not do a portrait of a lady in all weeks. You might complete it, say, by 10th. The rest, let them, okay, on 13th, presentation for reading session ka presentation, and you will do it. The rest, I take up my other chapter. I take up, say, the address from snapshots. Third, okay, this is a presentation for writing. Let them present. Now with online teaching, speaking and writing, we can easily manage by keeping recordings on Flipgrid, or by keeping recordings, YouTube, unlisted recordings. Let them post over there. So they are learning a lot. How to, now see, this is very important when it comes to, this was something I found on Pinterest, which was really great. Project teamwork. Let each project write here and assign roles. So it's teamwork. If it is vlog, So suppose a group has picked up vlog. Let the vlog script writing be done by this one person, and acting be done by somebody else. Who's going to do the recording? Who's going to do the editing? Assign it. By what time? Ask them to give deadlines, because ma'am is going to ask in the next week. So this can help. Now, I'll just go to the next last one. Just a second. Yeah. Yeah. So we were talking about this, and take a feedback as well. Okay, so next we are taking up, I hope the English literature portion was fine. Now I'm catering to the science subject. Integrated environmental hazard, which is going to take up chemistry, biology, and commerce. These things remain the same. Initial project discussion, they remain the same. The chalk out plan remains the same, same in terms of planning. Now, if you look at this portion, keep on going back. So if you look at this portion, you chalk out the plan to the class. Sorry. We were doing this environmental. At the group formation, this remains the same pattern. Here, I have to change my approach in week 1, week 2. So in week 1, again, I give them maybe a video and I can ask them something relevant to that. Read 2, I give them some literature. Week 3, since it is related to commerce, maybe I ask them to have a graphical presentation, maybe go and take a survey and do something. And week presentation, present your finding via a vlog or a PPT class speech. So remember to project according to your subject. That is very important. So I hope this works. I'm not going into too much. Again, a vlog and a PPT. Is this fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll just switch quickly to the next one. Back to the calendar, I have to go. So geography. Now, suppose it is geography, initial project discussion. When it comes to the initial project discussion, it's the same. It depends upon how you do it. Now, the chalk, the plan, here, I give them a scavenger hunt or something related to another doable thing, like renewable and renewable energy resources. These links I shall provide you if you wish to. And there are activities over here. This is a easy to be done activity, which can be, you show them this and they will feel interested. I'm not going to play the whole, but I will share the link in the WhatsApp group, in the Teams, in the Zoom group. Quickly going back. So soil erosion activity, give them this activity, a bar graph maybe. So you see there's series of activities that are going to end up in the scrap file. All of these. So in this case, what is my tangible artifact? It's a scrap file. In the other ones, it was a vlog. In the other ones, it was maybe a skit. It was a speech. So that is the summative, whereas these small weak activities are formative activities. And this is maybe something they can do. I've just taken up a few examples from some book. So the week 2 soil erosion experiment, if you could go through these details, these are visible. Study the bar and give a graph. Ask them to write a paragraph about it. So you're catering to writing skills as well. You're asking them to study. So this becomes another case study in a way. So back to the calendar we'll go. And this is something we had taken up. So again, this can be done. Oh no, this page again takes me to the wrong. Okay. So what about the feedback? Teachers, if you look at these, everywhere I've taken a feedback. So the feedback has to be with relation, should also take a feedback in terms of improving their teaching. So you can take this in the form of a Google form, maybe. You can take a screenshot of this if you feel like, but you have to obviously tweak it accordingly. And let's check what we've learned till now. I'm not taking up the quiz time. I really want to share this with you, the assessment rubrics. Once we do this, this is Ruby Star, which can really help you create rubrics for your project based. This is how you can create it. I'll take you to the link right now and I'll show it to you. The Ruby Star will help you create the link. This page will expire in 40 minutes. This is just because it's a free version. You give in all details over here. Suppose I've given Ritu or whatever, say learning. Let's write PBL. And the rubric. Suppose my rubric is a temporary rubric. Over here, what is it you want to choose? Suppose I want to choose the way the person, whether the time limit has been met or not. So presentation, if it is in 5 to 6 minutes long, I'll give 4 marks. If it is 4 to, so it automatically chooses the rubrics and gives a standard. So even this I will share in the WhatsApp group. So there are 2 things I have to share. One is environmental study portion, and then one is how to make these rubrics. You can access them. So over here you can choose something else. Suppose what are the props he's used in a skit. So if he's used it this way, if he's used several props that show considerable creativity and which make the presentation better, you give them a 4 marks. Student uses one prop that shows considerable work and creativity, you give them 3 marks. In case he has not used any props and the props choose to detract from the presentation, you give them a 1 mark. So this is a very useful tool which I wish to share with you. And then the relevance, how is it relevant, as all of you had said, whether in project-based learning, whether it is going to cater to the projects we make, to some extent it will. It has to be, but every subject, these are the guidelines in CBSE that we are catering to. And over here, guidelines for subject having project work, yes, it does cater to that. This is what we had done for project based. Now when we look at this for project based, you will find that all these are already catering to it. So indirectly, the project based learning does help in choosing the project, and these projects for different subjects will definitely be a deeper elaborate session which maybe respective subject teachers can maybe address. With relation to ASL, that can be done definitely in due course of time. This can be one of the projects, but not the only one. Now, the point is that what happens is when it comes to project work, which has been assigned 20 marks in CBSE, say 10 marks in the first term and 10 marks in the second term for 40-mark theory papers, then what do we end up doing? We only do this one project throughout the year, throughout that one term. But project-based learning is not about only that one project. It's about a technique, a strategy, a way to address a topic so that we can engage the students. That's why when in the WhatsApp groups, there were questions related to, ma'am, are you going to take up project-based project work as per to the term projects? I said it can just be a mention of that, but this is not only one of the projects. You have to keep in mind what has been asked for separately. For ASL, it is totally elaborate. It is different. We have to cater to subject. We have to cater to world problems. We have to cater to even them maybe being interdisciplinary. So that also varies. All this is written in the secondary school curriculum 2021-22. They're expected to create such an atmosphere where they feel free to ask questions. Active learning has to be promoted. They have to know how to think and not what to think. The role has to be that of a facilitator. Encourage them. The moment you do these kind of these kind of activities, okay children, you have to make a vlog, you have to do this, you have to maybe read this passage, find out the similarities with the subject, the protagonist in the chapter, how come that story and this story is similar. They'll start thinking. So even art integration, as somebody said, is it going to cater to AIL? AIL, it is a part. See, these small activities, AIL, you have AIL projects and you have art integrated learning and you have art education. All of them are related, but art integrated learning is in which you are using some art so that you can explain the subject and refer to it in relation. That's a totally separate session that cannot be covered in PBL in a 1 hour session. I hope that's fine and we can review some facts. Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am. Yes,
ma'am.
So project-based learning is different from simply doing a project. We all agree to that. So out of this, which one is project-based learning? Which is project learning? Is it learning through projects or culminating projects?
Learning through projects.
Learning through projects. It cannot be a culminating project. It is through a series of small projects that we make a tangible artifact. The best way is to say the scrap file was a result of mini activities which assisted us in learning and coming to a conclusion and coming to some conclusion in the form of a scrap file. Only a scrap file is not going to help. The next is the teacher creates instructions or the student choice in design. The student choice in design or the teacher creates. I've been creating instructions. I've told them, okay, we are going to do this, this, this. The student.
It will be student choice.
Yes.
Student choice design.
Okay.
Student's choice in design.
Absolutely. And this is just a project. Okay, you have to create a scrap file. Do this. These are the criteria submitted by Monday. That's a project. But if you involve the students and tell them that, see, today we're going to do a scrap file, a submission that has to be done. But before that, these are the 4 mini activities you have to do. So that becomes and you ask them, okay, if you want to do, we are going to do a project, a scrap file. What is the topic you want to take up? I have decided what it is. I keep the control in my hand, but I make them partner to assist me in coming to a definite choice. Okay, student inquiry.
Also, ma'am, I feel it has to be, instruction, like, there needs to be clear instructions for our students wherein it can be followed at different stage. This is what I feel is very, very important.
Very important.
Yes. Else the students get lost, like, what next? Is the day one we explain them everything, but again if it goes out of track, which means again planning for the teachers is very, very important. So each and every instruction must be shared.
Absolutely, I agree with you. So if we go back, day one planning doesn't mean that my role stops here. My role is here, and here as well, because I am going to go on assessing them side by side. Had it been in class, I would have walked amongst them and gone and see what is this group doing. Maybe this group is talking. Maybe this group is having a discussion. This is what we end up doing in the breakout rooms. And the assessment, that's very important in between, checking them and giving them, yes, I have understood you are saying the directions have to be very clear. So your planning lies in case, see, we as teachers already know that if we tell them it has to be a group discussion, Maximum, they're going to choose the topic, but the guidelines which we have to give will not differ according to the topic. They will remain the same. So
Right.
our planning lies in preparing those guidelines beforehand. But when we're asking them, it seems as if, okay, the autonomy they've been given that choice. So they will feel involved and they will participate better. So the directions and instructions have to be prepared beforehand. That's our role. Absolutely. So the next one, student inquiry or pre-planned questions.
It should be student inquiry.
Yeah, not pre-planned questions. Pre-planned questions are only the textbook questions. Okay, read this chapter. These are the textbook questions. Do them. That's a pre-planned. That's a project in a way. So this is fine. We do have time for a mini. If you wish to, it will take not even a few minutes. We can do that quiz which we had left. So let me look at this, whether this is. And I'll share the feedback form. Should I share the feedback form first for your certificates? That's usually of concern.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll do that. I have to get back my, yeah, here. So I've shared the feedback form first. This is the feedback form for the certificate. I've opened too many feedback forms. So is there anything else that you think you would like to ask or contribute? Anything that you'd like to say? I think so. This is not loading. There's some internet issue.
Ma'am, I would like to
Yes, let's have a
just share
discussion instead.
something.
Yes.
Yeah, I just would like to share something with
Yes.
teachers here. There is an application called Seesaw, ma'am, and I have observed that, this project-based learning, it perfectly takes care of that criteria. There is a option wherein the child can record the voice, as you said, and record their own videos, and also submit the assignments in writing. And even the reading assignments could be sent. So I would request the teachers to please explore it. It's very interesting, and it makes project-based learning very easy, very instructional, and stage-wise, it is very easy to follow up. Seesaw application.
Right. So it's like, say, Flipgrid, even Flipgrid, in case you don't have time for listening to everybody's performance, you can ask them to maybe share it or store it on Flipgrid. The feedback form is here, ma'am. It's posted at 6 p.m. It's posted at 6 p.m. I've posted it again. So I'll stop the sharing. And if there's anything else we'd like to say, because I think so there's another session for AIEF lined up, and we had to finish by 6. So I quickly winded it up so that we finish on time. And it is 6:02. So any other feedback, anything you'd like to know, or anything we can get into a discussion?
Please, post the feedback form in the WhatsApp group. I'm not able to access it here.
Definitely, that will also be done, ma'am. Once this, should I send it right now? I'll do that.
You may do it later, no problem.
Yeah, I'll do that. Any other? So we can call it a day.
Yeah.